All right. So, welcome back, guys. The Charlotte Artours podcast. This is your host, Toro the Magi. Who I have with me is Janeva Tyree. She's another artist out here in Charlotte. Visual artist, muralist. As you can see, one of our pieces are behind us if you are watching us on the visual version on YouTube. But we're going to have a conversation, just talk, vibe out. Just want her to share her story and her art and all that stuff, man. So, oh, by the way, this before we go into it, I'll talk to you a little bit about this more within the episode. But we are being sponsored by Frank Expression LLC on the for this episode. We'll talk about him in a little bit, but yeah, we'll go and get right into it. So, Janeva, how you doing today?
I'm excellent.
Doing good, doing good. I'm doing great. Thank you for
I
coming out
did
here.
not ask you how you were doing. I'm
See,
doing
look, you
excellent.
looked at me like you-
How are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. See, I didn't even say that. I said thank you for coming out here. I didn't say thank you for asking me.
You said I'm doing good. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. You're fine. It's gonna be a nice podcast episode.
Okay.
But yeah, doing good. I'm glad to have you out here. I got your art all around us. Same exact one on your shirt and everything. I like this one right here. This Nipsey one.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Mm-hmm.
When B reached out, I had to be a part of this. I love that you guys are featuring creatives, especially, in Charlotte, in the Queen City.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Like I feel like there's so much. I was thinking about this day actually. I was like looking. Because I doing this whole podcast thing and interviewing people. I'm like, I want to get this at a high level. You're supposed to like look into these artists, figure out how they are, so you can know how to structure questions and actually feel like you know them already. You come into there because I feel like everybody comes into like a conversation with like on these podcasts, interviews, anywhere with whatever's on the internet, whatever exists within the public eye is what we all start with. So I want to be able to add to that, And I've realized like there's so many artists out here, and not everybody has their story out there. And I'm like, dang, there's so much potential, there's so much talent out here. So I just want to be able to like add to that, and like that's why I want you on here.
Well, listen, I heard that you did your research, so I can't wait to pick your brain.
Pick my brain.
I'm going to be quizzing you.
Do it.
Yes, there's some quizzes coming up. They're here.
All right, that's not gonna be a first here. But yeah, I'm glad you're out here and everything. You do paintings and stuff, and you also do murals.
Yes.
I had a question like, what do you like more to do?
All right, so I get this question quite often. Oh, Lord, it depends on how I wake up. Sometimes I really like working with my hands as far as like building things. Sometimes I'm like, I really just want to like paint a wall, work on something really giant. And sometimes like I'm just in the mood to create something more like intimate and personal, and that can be on a smaller canvas. As far as legacy projects go, I love working on murals because I feel like murals can stand the test of time. They reach a broad audience, and it really gives you a chance, especially murals that are outdoors, to reach, people that you may not, reach if they don't go inside the building. So I think as far as all of the art forms go, yeah, I just love playing in paint. I love playing in paint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And like I like that you're multidimensional with the way that you do things. I always think about like artists and their ability to do that and everything. And I really feel like you're talking about like sometimes you like getting things on like hands-on, like building certain things, because it's a whole entire logistic like issue or just a challenge that you have to overcome.
Yes.
Especially when you're making a mural, like getting the commission for that in the first place, and then like coming out there and doing it, whatever it is. So like, I mean, I'm glad that you're able to find like happiness in that, no matter even if it's a little bit more difficult, but like it's like a different challenge, than something like this, which is also amazing. I bet it was pretty hard to do something like this too.
It wasn't hard. It wasn't. Art is easy for me.
Oh, she's like that.
Yeah, like I poop art. I'm kidding. I don't poop art. That's actually one of the things like that when it comes to clients. Like some clients really think like you just blink and a piece is created, when most of my art, takes about a couple years to create, unless it's a really, really strict deadline. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But the hardest part about it was honestly staying focused. My attention span is really short, and I get bored very, very, very easily. So when I can see the piece done before it's done, in my brain, it's like, oh, that's good enough for me, girl. Move on to the next thing. So the hardest thing about this was actually like completing it. Like I have hundreds of art pieces that aren't finished. So for me to finish a piece and actually like show it off to the world, that's a big thing for me. It's like sharing a piece of my soul and, hard work and dedication, in the words of Nipsey. And it's one of my purposes and my passions.
Most definitely. Yeah, like with art and everything, I like this is like a balance that you have to straddle. Like, you know, like because sometimes you can't like these some of these art pieces that you'll start that you can't finish all.
Yeah,
You can't finish them all as soon as you start them. Like you
that's
have to like let
exactly
them
right.
sit in the freezer for a little bit and like come back and maybe you come back. Sometimes you might end your career and like you might have a lot of stuff that you haven't finished, but that
Yeah.
you're still outputting stuff. This is output. Like you said, it took you a year. How long?
It took me about a year to create, and I'm not saying that like it was a year. I sat down and just painted for a year straight. It was like since conception, since it came into my brain of what I wanted to do, and then maybe taking, like you said, like a week off, 2 weeks off, coming back to it. Maybe take a month off, coming back to it. I do this thing where a lot of times I'll paint something and then I just paint right over it. And I allow myself that creative freedom. And I believe that unless, again, I have a strict deadline, when I make personal pieces such as this, I really try to respect my timeline. So if it takes me 2 years, I give myself that grace to allow me to do that. Just as long as I love it in the end. Because, you know, I make art for me, but I also want you to enjoy it too.
Most definitely. I had a question. So, are you from Charlotte originally?
No, I'm from DC, Washington, DC, raised in PG County, Maryland.
Interesting.
Shout out to PG.
So, how long has it been since you like lived over there?
So I haven't lived in PG since I was 18. As soon as I turned 18, I went to college in Georgia, Savannah, Georgia. Shout out to SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design.
Oh my God, there's a lot of sad people out
I
here.
love SCAD. Did a semester in Atlanta and then moved back to Savannah. And after I graduated, I moved to Charlotte. Yeah, I took a year in Savannah and then I moved here.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've
So,
been here since.
did you do it like, so I mean, obviously you kind of committed to art and everything, so like you probably came here for like the art scene.
I didn't.
You
I
didn't?
didn't.
Interesting.
My lease was up in Charlotte, and at that point, I was getting graphic design gigs, and I love graphic design. I didn't even throw that out there. I love graphic design. So I was getting a lot of graphic design gigs. So pretty much, no matter where I moved, I could like have moved to Texas. I could have moved to Charlotte. I could have moved to LA. Wherever I moved, I was mainly working from home. So most of my clients I didn't meet in person. So I moved to Charlotte because I met somebody and I was telling them, I was like, my lease is up in like 2 weeks and I'm getting out of Savannah. And they were like, oh, you should go to Charlotte. It's great. And I was like, cool. And I came, visited Charlotte a weekend, found an apartment and moved down here. Yeah, so the strategy behind that was mad lacking. Very, very not thought through, just a young one with the world at her oyster. And I respect that about me too. You know, it's important to take risk and to move, and I think that's really fun.
You
just
still
allowing
keep
myself
that
freedom.
You still keep that with you?
I have to. I believe that, you know, your imagination stops at what you limited. Opportunity is often stifled by no. So say yes as much as you can and explore as much as you can. You know, one of the things that I love to do is I love to travel. And something that was really cool about Charlotte when I moved here, I'm not saying now, when I moved here, the rent was so cheap. Like, it was so cheap. And I was like, wow, this is like a really nice city.
I've talked to some people about that. I'm like, what? Like 700?
Yeah. Look, the rent had me. It had me in a chokehold. But no, Charlotte is cool. And, you know, I'm from the city. So it's really cool that Charlotte is just so beautiful and so clean, and you still get like that city vibe, but it has like a lot of trees. So
Most definitely.
yeah,
That's cool.
I mess with Charlotte.
I like to ask people about that because, you know, like everybody has their own reasons for coming here. And this right now is we're in a growth period and everyone's just coming in. I'm like, who is actually from here? Who leaves and comes back? And like,
I invite all of the transplants, okay? This may be unpopular, but
I'm not from here either. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Right. I invite everybody to go wherever you want to go, whenever you want to go there, because that is your prerogative. And do not let anybody tell you, do not come here. Don't step foot in my land. Cultured environments are some of the most vibrant, beautiful environments. So I love being surrounded with different cultures and people from different backgrounds. And Charlotte has a great opportunity to expand on, you know, like a lot of the transplants that are here. You know, like I love sprinkling my DC vibe everywhere I go.
Yeah. And like what that allows is like we can't just. I feel like we can grow to only a certain amount, like inside of a vacuum. But like we have to have like, you know, outside influences on us to keep on going. It's like your immune system doesn't grow without being exposed to like germs.
That's exactly right.
So I like that. I like
Yeah,
that.
so all of the germs, bring your germs, okay? I'm kidding. Well, all right. All right, next.
We're gonna leave the germs and everything. Like since you've been here, like has there been anything like that's like really kind of changed your creativity, like the way that you maybe it's like an influence or something, just the way that you think about yourself and your art, like I don't know, positive, negatively. All experiences are on the table here.
I believe that it is so important to always stay positive and keep a positive mindset. It's really important to reflect on things that aren't working for you as well. So the positive takeaways that I have from Charlotte is honestly like, and I say this all the time, but I get a lot more work outside of Charlotte. So love South Carolina, right? Love DC. And with Charlotte, it's a little bit different when it comes to art here. I'm not saying it's a bad different. It's just one of the critiques that a lot of areas of Charlotte has is really trying to boost like the culture. And I personally love the fact that coming to Charlotte, I've been able to help aid to boosting the culture. So again, like bringing my influences and living in the University City area, working with organizations such as University City Partners, I'm able to implement public programs to invite people to enjoy the arts, to attend art classes in the botanical gardens, to activate spaces that are underutilized. I'm also developing some sculptures right now for the University City area.
Like your own sculptures?
Yeah, yeah.
So you okay. All right.
Yeah, so that's going to be installed in University City. Watch out 2024, we're coming for you. So one thing that I do love about Charlotte is the opportunity that we have to make it, just sprinkle our fairy dust on it. I think that's really cool. Some cities you would say have like more developed cultures, like Atlanta, the vibes. I used to live in Atlanta. It's a whole vibe. DC, the vibes, and Charlotte, because there's so many people that aren't from Charlotte, it has a really unique opportunity to create like a culture that takes on its own. So I'm excited to be a part of that.
It's like I feel like when you move to Charlotte, it's like you're in the kitchen while the chef is still cooking.
You listen, you can smell it. You can't taste it yet. You could maybe have like hors d'oeuvres or appetizers or sample it, but I really do feel like within the next 15 years it's going to go crazy, and I'm so excited to be a part of that. So, pros and cons of living in Charlotte as an artist. It gives you a unique opportunity to build with the culture. However, in other areas, it can provide more opportunity. But like that's a very, I don't think that's a fair statement, because I could be living in Atlanta and maybe say the same thing. I could be living in DC. It's all about perspective. So my personal journey, that's how I've taken it. The pros are amazing enough for me to say. I've been here. I moved here. I was supposed to leave, and Charlotte trapped me. So it's lit. Charlotte, I'm here for it.
Most definitely. I'm gonna ask you about your background in a second, but I promised I was gonna talk about Frank Expression real quick. First of all, for visual users, I am wearing one of his shirts. He has merch. Check him out. You see right here.
Yeah, dope.
Dope. He's a trumpet player, poet out here. Frank Expression LLC. This episode is being sponsored by him. Essentially, what he has, if you go to his Instagram, he has the Expression directory, which is a directory for people who want to get their. If you're an artist out here, he has opportunities for paid performance opportunities, paid performances. Also, he has business workshops. Also, he has productions, like big productions that you can be a part of. If you go ahead and hit him up on Instagram, Instagram is Frank FRANK _ expression EXPRESSION on Instagram. You can go ahead and get access to that. We have it in our bio. And he even has like an open mic. For example, like I said, he has opportunities. He has his open mics. Wine About Poetry that's what it's called. You can find it on Eventbrite. But it's at the Auto Pour, which is a bar here. It's a wine bar. You can go out there, pour your own wine, watch some poetry, watch people perform music as well sometimes.
That sounds like a vibe.
I'm telling you.
That sounds like a vibe.
And like, it's not even just that. It's like you can go, like I said, it's an open mic. You can go in and perform too. So yeah, it's a whole thing. It's a whole night. It's the nightlife in Charlotte. I feel has a lot of things like this that do provide, add to the culture and everything. That's why I felt like it was an amazing time to kind of like talk about that when we're talking about like adding to the culture and everything. But yes, Remember Frank Expression? Hit him up after you watch this episode. Maybe click off, go right now.
That's exactly right.
But I wanted to talk to you about like kind of your background and like what kind of got you into, I guess, creating art and stuff. You said you went to you said you lived in DC first?
Yeah, well, I was born in D.C., raised in Prince George's County. Shout out to Suitland High School. I attended the Visual and Performing Arts program there, and they really helped cultivate my craft. I've always been really passionate about art. Art is one of those things that, oh my, like, it was just so much fun. Like, there was no such thing as an art assignment. Whenever I got art, it was like playtime. And my favorite projects growing up were always art. And I think that's really important to follow what's fun, follow what you're not only good at, but what you look forward to. So even every project I get, it never feels like work. Like, it's so dope. It's so cool. Like, it does not feel like work. So yeah, grew up in DC. DC PG. Always drew, always painted. Actually got more into painting in high school. Had some really, really cool professors. And from there, I auditioned for 16 different colleges, and I got into all of them on scholarship. And it's because of the portfolio that I was able to develop in high school. So kids, if you're listening to this, get your crap together. Okay, it starts young. But adults, if you're listening to this, get your crap together and follow your passion. Just do whatever you love. Even if I don't know, if it makes you happy, it can make you money. Yeah.
And I feel like what school does is it does kind of get you that disciplined mindset, especially with art, with something that's so kind of free form. It kind of gets you into, all right, finish this, make this project, finish it, make this project, finish it, and get it out, finish the whole entire thing, and
That's 100%. It gets you ready for the working world. I learned how not to sleep in college. So projects, I can stay up for days because, you have to develop that discipline at a college like SCAD in order to graduate. There are definitely some pros and cons to college, way more pros that I feel than cons. School's not for everybody. I just personally love school. If ever I can get in a class, I love learning new things. So school is my thing, right? I also love school. So following that path helped me a lot. Develop my craft.
And just from you talking about your experience with school, being young, doing art, from I guess when you were a really a young girl and everything, it's I feel like a lot of us as artists, we start off with we want to do all these other things, but art is kind of in the background, and then but you kind of had it in the forefront, which I don't know. Did you ever have a point where someone was kind of on your back about you pursuing art at all, and
Man, I don't want to throw people under the bus. But I definitely had some times of long periods of time where art was not providing me with as much money as I needed to survive in this economy without living in a shoebox. And I don't have shoebox taste. So I did bartend for a really long time. And I would bartend and I would do art on the side. And bartending was paying the bills. It did a good job. Oh, and I got to the point where I was able to save up 6 months of rent. And this is when I moved to Charlotte. And I was like, I'm going to quit and I'm just going to become a full-time artist. And if I go broke, I go broke. So 6 months later, I was broke. I was like, crap. So I went back to bartending, and that's okay, right? Because it's not like I quit. I tried my best, but I did have to have something to bring in the money. And I was eventually able through, prayer and just never giving up to land a really cool gig at a school that helped prepare me into an art director role. Propel me into art director role. And that was dope. Shout out to Master Work School of the Arts for, giving me that platform to really shine, create, and develop curriculum.
And have you always had a good faith when you were younger too?
Heck yeah, I started drawing in church. I didn't want to say that because I always say that. But I started in church. Shout out to Cornerstone Peaceful Bible Baptist Church, the longest church name that's ever existed.
Say it again.
Cornerstone Peaceful Bible Baptist Church with Pastor Daniel Mangrum, okay? But yeah, I always drew in church. I was known as the girl that draws in church. And
they'll be doing a sermon and you
I'm always drawing. I used to fall asleep. That's what happened. I used to fall asleep. My grown fourth grade self was falling asleep. And I'm like, Janeva, get your stuff together. You can't be falling asleep during sermons. And my mama got me a sketchbook and I never fell asleep again. I would just draw in church. And my drawings were really good. I still have them to this day. And I'm like, Janeva, yeah, you killed this. But like, I don't know, like if y'all can notice, I don't know if you hear this chair squeaking. I cannot sit still to save my life. And so it's one of those things like even when a professor is talking, I have to draw, I have to doodle. You know, it's like I have to have multiple parts of like my brain moving while I interpret the world.
I feel you in that in a certain level. I love to multitask. People
Yeah.
are like, you can't do more than one thing at once. I'm like, watch.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, it's part of being neurodivergent, but accepting it and just really embracing it, if that makes sense.
There's so many ways to like make it work for you and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of wanted to ask you about like faith and everything because I feel like as an artist, you do kind of need to like have a lot of faith and stuff. And, like me personally, like I mean, not all of us are like Christian or like really just religious at all. I feel like I've kind of been coming back into my own in that respect and everything. And I'm like, damn, like this is like kind of important. I definitely like to be able to talk about it in a very general sense, but like no matter what you call it, you do need that in your life. If I'm being honest.
Listen, my third eye be third eyeing. And with that being said, I'm so glad you like brought us back to that because faith is so important. And more than anything, you know, I wake up every day, give thanks to God for putting breath. If you're breathing, you're saying God's name. And I would, you know, I would love to be a testimony. I had a really, really, really interesting upbringing. Like it was rough. But with that being said, you know, like just God was always in my corner, you know, and people can tell you no, but what people say, like it doesn't matter because God has you, you know, you God really has you. And I've always felt God's presence and I'm appreciative of God. And if this is not a testimony, I hope it is. I hope somebody hears this and, you know, they just listen. And I don't want to say like to tell you like to pick up the word and read, but you know, any way that you can internalize it, any way you can gospel about it, any way, you know, speaking God's name, glorifying God's name, you know, the angels sing. So just make sure you take some time out of your day to breathe and thank him. That's really important. That's really like, that's a crucial part of my journey.
Mm-hmm.
The most important part of my journey.
Mm-hmm. And have you had like any like experiences like that you can like top of mind that like have really like changed you, like gotten you straight onto your journey of like, or maybe even like maybe you were on your journey and were on your path, but like maybe shifted you to be more soul aligned?
So whenever, and me and my mom travel a lot. Me and my mom, we were like on a cruise to, I believe, Aruba, and I was super broke. And I was like, Mom, I'm broke. I was like, I think I'm going to go back to college. And she was like, that's great, Janeva. What are you going to do? And I was like, I'm going to do IT. And she was like, no. Because she did IT and she did really, really well for herself. Like, I really look up to my mom when it comes to finances. Like, she's really good at saving. She's awesome. So, and she was like, no, Geneva, always follow your passion. And I love that I had a mother that encouraged me to do that because, you know, I know I've had encounters with other relatives that have told me the exact opposite, that were like, I don't know what you're doing, but you need to get something that's like a 9 to 5 or where you have a 401k. And, you know, the path of entrepreneurship doesn't necessarily allow you to take that route sometimes, you know? It's, you know, most businesses lose the first 3 years. And it's like, so in my head, I'm like, all right, well, I got 3 years. But, it's not 3 years. It's a journey. Like, I have a lifetime to figure this out as long as I'm doing what I love and I'm making the world a better place and I'm able to glorify God in the process. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Mm. And, like, just that's probably one of the hardest parts of, like, this whole artist journey is, like, kind of transcending it past just, like, a hobby. And there's something that you could do because like I listened to I read one of your articles that you had been on, and what you said art is like soul work.
It is soul work,
and that really stuck out to me because I was like, dang, you're right. It's not just something you do. It's like only reason you do it is because you have to like let something that's inside of your soul out.
You do, and that takes courage to really spill your soul into a canvas, to give yourself permission to be free. And to show it with the world. I have a lot of things that I don't share with the world. And, you know, like even growing up in like a really rough environment, I used to take it out on my sketchbook and looking at those sketches. I'm like, dang, girl, you were hurt. But I'm just like, but I'm proud of you for expressing it, you know, on a sheet of paper. But you're right. Art is soul work. It's There's a thin line between imitation and creation. I believe that it is important to be inspired, but like even if you are inspired, you have to like add like your own razzle dazzle. So some of my most favorite pieces, it's not like I've seen other people done it before. Like it's things that come from my heart. Soul work.
For sure. And you do have you have your own business. You made it like a level of success. I wanted you to talk about a little bit of that. You have your own LLC, it goes by your name, but you also have art that sparks. Like, can you talk to me about that?
Yeah, so Janeva Tyree, Art That Sparks. I'm curating conversation, elevating the atmosphere as well, curating the vibes. And the goal of my art is to spark. So, for instance, I was having a conversation with this young one today, and they were talking about we're talking about how you can immediately see maybe a future tattoo design that you could do with a mandala and words. And I love that sparked your imagination. How do you take something that somebody did and now you transformed it into like another medium or put like your own spin to it? So I love art that sparks vision, even if you're like, man, I want that like on a really cool shirt or like on a really cool bag, or I would love for people to see what I'm doing. And I've seen this and just be inspired. And it may not be in the arts. Maybe you love auto mechanics, right? And you're like, I'm going to build my own shop. Well, you go do it, okay? And you be great. And you fell 100 times. And that's okay as long as you get up 99 of them and then keep going. Or 101 of them. Anyways, my point is, just never give up.
I have two things to say. First of all, what is your favorite piece that you've made?
My favorite piece that I've made is still in production. I'm not done with it yet.
Does that change a lot?
I guess. I mean, the reason why I say I guess is because the piece that I've been working on it for like 5 years.
Oh.
It's not done. So maybe after I finish it, I'll have another favorite piece.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's one of those things. My favorite large scale piece would have been the mural that I did in Charleston.
Yeah.
And it's mainly because, did you read the article on that one?
Yeah, that's the one I read.
Hey, okay, yeah, that was important because that was a legacy piece. It inspired a neighborhood that really, really, really needed it, and because of that mural, that neighborhood has been renovated, has owners. It's bringing in new businesses, and like it was kind of a grim sight when I first stepped onto the property. And going back, it's amazing to see how the whole neighborhood bloomed, and it was solely because of the mural that I painted.
That's the one thing I noticed about Charlotte. I feel like the art does move stuff in Charlotte, and like I heard about. I didn't know they really had art scene like in Charleston like that. And when you talked about that in the interview in that paper, in that article, I mean, I'm like, oh, so they got art, they got stuff going on over there too.
Yeah, Charleston has a culture, and the culture is thick. As you know,
I'm from that area too.
You're from Charleston.
I'm from Pawleys Island, which is not too.
Whoa! So how do you not know about?
I never really visited there. To be honest, I'm like so close. People always talk about, when they hear South Carolina, they always talk about Charleston. And I'm like, I've been here probably
love Charleston.
3 times in my lifetime.
Oh, I love Charleston. I love Charleston so much. I love the food. I love the people. I love Charleston. What's your favorite thing about Charleston?
I like how all the southern towns, they all have the same like kind of aesthetic and everything. But I like how I remember I walked down there like Halloween night or whatever. I just like how it still has like its own culture, like people walking around down the streets and everything. There's still like bars and all that stuff. There's like a little mini nightlife, but it's still like its own place. And like I like the bridge. I used to be kind of spooky. It used to be a little bit spooky.
Which bridge?
The Robinhill? I forgot what it's called. Robinhill? Okay. I don't know what it's called.
Gotcha. Because they have a couple different bridges.
Big body bridge, but I'm saying I have to reconnect to my South Carolina roots because I've been there very few times.
That's horrible. That is shame on you. You need to go back and appreciate it because Charleston is awesome. Like I drive hours to go to Charleston. So the thing that is important about Charleston is it has a thick culture when it comes to African Americans. And African Americans, as you know, 90% of Africans arrive through Charleston's port. So there's a huge history there. Charleston is supposed to be haunted. Again, it's thick. Like the air is thick there. the really cool thing about it is the people that Charleston produced, a lot of them were civil rights leaders, and that helped develop laws and free oppressed Black people. And I love the strength that Charleston exudes through the African American community, and I'm so appreciative of that.
Also, I like the connection to Charlotte because that is Charles, and we're in the Queen City and all that stuff. So
You better talk.
like what I'm saying? Like they're connected. Like that's the Queen, that's the King and the Queen. Like I love that. Like you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
I'll pretend like yeah. Oh, that's crazy.
I think I don't talk about it.
That's
too
really
much.
cool though. See, like I'm learning something new. That's dope. I love that.
Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so like I mean, and she knows she's the Black Queen. Like
I do. I have yes.
that's why I feel like I like Charlotte a lot because of that. Because I feel like it's whatever you want to call it, like if it's a Black town, but there's a lot of Black people here. But I do like the whole art, like we're making it like kind of beautiful, and we right now since it's in a growing state,
Yeah,
we
it's
do have
growing.
the opportunity to kind of shape it in the way that we want to make it so that it's not like skewed to one end to where it's more racist another way. We can make it so it's inclusive. We can make it so
Listen,
it's art just doing what it's supposed to do.
love me some inclusivity. I do. I love the culture. America's a different place to grow up,
Most
right?
definitely.
We're so new. People have been around for thousands, if not millions of years. Cultures have been developed for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. America, we're still in the hundreds. And us being founded the way we were founded, the evolution of America, it wasn't very pretty for a lot of us. And so something that I would like to embrace is the fact that we have a unique opportunity to be surrounded by so many people of different cultures. And it also gives us a great opportunity to learn about different cultures and develop our own. So when you talk about inclusivity, I love the idea of every race, nation, nationality, height, disability. But I like the idea of everybody having a seat at the table to express themselves because we have a beautiful plate here to have that.
Yes. And speaking of inclusivity, we're gonna wrap it up soon. But I wanted to ask you this because I did my research, but I didn't know that this. So, what are all the mediums that you work with?
Oh boy. All right. So I do sculpture, love
Now let's
love
do it.
building, love working with my hands, love paint. I love drawing. The reason why I don't draw as much is I don't want to say like it's easy. Like drawing is so easy for me and painting is more of a challenge. And I love a challenge. So I love drawing. Drawing, painting, photography, graphic design. I really believe that as for a visual person, the world is your oyster when it comes to creation. I also do apparel. I have my hand in everything, and I'm more than willing to learn more. So if there's anything out there that's like, hey, I would love for you to be a part of this creative adventure, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be down for the ride.
Yeah.
I feel like iron sharpens iron, and that comes with like your own ideas and your own medium. So, learning one medium, whether it's graphic design or painting, you can always apply it to the next.
Yes. And we talked about inclusivity and how important it is to bring like everybody together to kind of build this thing. And that like I said, we still have time to kind of steer the boat to where we all can agree there for it to come to for everybody to
Amen.
be in the best position. Like I feel like honestly, like doing more mediums, it kind of helps that too with like yourself, like your ability to put your thoughts into a creative like process. I feel, and like if I can like look at this and like we're gonna do later on is like rap about this and like look at someone else's art and then take someone else's creative interpretation of a certain idea or a certain subject and then be able to kind of then still merge it into something instead of it just existing as it is. We're still able to reuse it and reuse it and reuse it.
Yeah, for sure. I don't, like the world, I don't want to say the world, but our culture, our economy wasn't built off of one great idea. It was built off of millions of great ideas and being able to expand on that. So like you said, like that's really, really important. Something else I didn't mention. I mentioned I love public speaking as well.
Oh yes, I can tell.
I did it. One of my favorite projects that I've ever worked on was doing a TEDx talk this year.
Oh, I saw that. I didn't look at it, but I was like TEDx.
Yeah.
What?
And that was really important for me, you know, just being on the stage. And of course I was able to talk about art, you know, like I bleed art, so I could talk about this for ages. So yeah. So when it comes to being able to express myself in different mediums, I think it's really a blessing to be able to have public speaking in that realm as well, because it makes me better.
It kind of like shows like I feel like you're more than just an artist. You're like a human being. And
I'm a brain, guys. I'm a brain and a heart and a soul. You know, I believe we are all beings. So my goal is whenever you come in contact with me is I would just love for you to feel my energy, you know, and I would love for my energy to help uplift you. And I would hope the same for me. I believe that you should always treat people how you want to be treated. So most of the time you see me, I'm going to greet you with a smile because I love smiles. I love it when people smile at me. So I'm going to give you that in order to hopefully receive it. And if you're not smiling, I'm going to keep smiling because I'm just happy. Okay? Unless I'm not. And then you won't see me at all. I'll be in my room tucked away painting something. You know?
Most definitely. All right, Janeva, I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Can you one more time? Can you like let me know about like your socials and like anything you got going on? So
Yeah, so I'm Janeva, like the convention, but spelled unconventionally. And my social is Janeva Tyree. That's Janeva Tyree. On all platforms, my website, JanevaTyree.com. Make sure you copy some merch, some paintings. You know, if you want a mural, if you need a public speaker, that is a great place to contact me. I'm always here for you.
For sure, for sure. Yes, so we're about to go ahead and wrap it up. Again, this episode is going to be sponsored by Frank Expression, FRANK
Frank Expression.
_expression on Instagram. You can find him on Google. Look at his website. We have all these. We have his open mic, wine about poetry, and we also have the expression directory for all you artists who want to get into the business, learn how to get a resume, a nice portfolio going, and everything. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna wrap it up. You can remember if you're a visual, we have our YouTube channel for the Charlotte Artois podcast, and we also have our streaming services. So go ahead and hit us up there. Thank you guys for always watching us, and catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
This was cool. I like this.
For sure, for sure.
Bye, guys.